here's something that might surprise you, Ian. Before becoming the leader of the free world, Ronald Reagan hosted a TV show called Death Valley Days, sponsored by 20 Mule Team Borax. That journey from selling laundry detergent to reshaping global politics might be the most extraordinary career change in American history.
You know what's fascinating about that PAPPyt? His entertainment background actually gave him this incredible ability to connect with people through television. He basically revolutionized how presidents communicate.
Well, when he took office in 1981, America was in a really dark place. Inflation over 12%, unemployment climbing, and a general feeling that we'd lost our way. The Iranian hostage crisis had just ended, and people were questioning everything about American power.
Hmm, that context really helps explain why his optimistic Morning in America message hit so hard. People were desperate for someone to restore their confidence.
And then, boom, just 2 months into his presidency, John Hinckley Jr. nearly killed him. The way Reagan handled it, though, joking with doctors and telling Nancy, honey, I forgot to duck, while literally having a bullet near his heart. That moment completely transformed his presidency.
That's such an interesting point about crisis management. You know, the medical reports from that day show he was actually much closer to death than anyone knew at the time.
Speaking of transformative moments, let's talk about Reaganomics. Like, here was this completely new economic approach, massive tax cuts, deregulation, reduced social spending, and it was basically a vast experiment in real time.
Well, the initial results were pretty brutal, right? That 1981 to 82 recession pushed unemployment to 10.8%, but then something remarkable happened.
Oh, yeah. The economy came roaring back in 1983, though, and this is important, it came with serious costs. The national debt tripled, and we began to see a trend toward greater income inequality that persists to this day.
You know what I find really fascinating? His evolution in the Soviet Union. He goes from calling them the evil empire to developing this remarkable personal relationship with Gorbachev.
Right? And that relationship led to some incredible moments. Like at Reykjavik in 1986, they came this close to agreeing to eliminate all nuclear weapons. Can you imagine how different the world might be if that had happened?
Well, what about the Strategic Defense Initiative? That whole Star Wars program seems almost science fiction now, but it really rattled the Soviets.
That's actually one of the most brilliant strategic moves of his presidency, even though the technology wasn't really feasible. Just proposing it forced the Soviets to try to keep up, which their economy couldn't handle.
So, what do you make of Iran Contra? It's fascinating how this massive scandal didn't seem to permanently damage his presidency the way you might expect.
Well, that whole affair really shows the complexity of his administration. You had this illegal operation being run out of the White House basement, but Reagan managed to maintain this plausible deniability that most Americans seemed willing to accept.
Though it's worth noting that his famous I don't recall testimony raised many questions about his mental acuity during his second term.
You know what often gets overlooked? His domestic policy wasn't nearly as rigidly conservative as people remember. He raised taxes several times when necessary and worked with Democrats on primary legislation, such as the 1986 Tax Reform Act.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, which included amnesty for millions of undocumented immigrants. That would be almost unthinkable for a Republican president today.
Looking back at his legacy, what's really striking is how many of our current political debates still revolve around the questions he raised: the role of government, tax policy, America's place in the world. It's like we're still having the Reagan era arguments.
That's precisely what makes him such a fascinating figure to study, Pappy. Whether you agree with his policies or not, understanding Reagan helps us know how we got to where we are today.
And maybe that's the most important thing about Reagan. Ian, he wasn't just a president who managed events, he fundamentally changed how Americans think about government, economics, and our role in the world. For better or worse, we're all still living in the political world Reagan created.